executive functions that with ADHD don't really go well with money management, but your brain's not broken. It just needs a different manual. You're 6 times more likely to be flooded than you are to be burgled. I often think, because I can do so many things that people think are hard easily, like going on live telly or,
I know, people say, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I can't find anything on SharePoint.
Hi, and welcome to Accelerating Your Wealth with your host, myself, Rebecca Robertson. I'm an independent financial advisor and wealth coach. I'm the director of Evolution Financial Planning, who is also our sponsor for today's show. Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just got to let you know, are you enjoying the shows? If you are, and there's more you want to listen to, then check out our quiz. You'll find the link below. You can fill out these questions and it will basically tell you what area of your finances you should focus on. So it might be business, it might be you're getting divorced, it might be investing. There's about 9 categories. And what it will give you is a playlist to the relevant categories of all the shows we've done that apply to that area and that subject. So what it allows you to do is super fast learn about the subject that you need to know super quick without having to scroll through about over 130 episodes currently. So I hope you find that helpful, and do let us know your feedback leave us a review via your preferred platform. Thanks.
But so luckily my father had taken out income protection. So when he was a young teacher, and he very clearly remembers his friends saying, like, Frank, what are you wasting your money on? And he had the protection. So what it meant was that when he was basically retired or couldn't work due to ill health at 42, like that's young. 4 years younger than I am now.
That's very, very young.
Yeah, exactly. And he was able to pay the bills. So I think it was like 75% of his income or something.
Yeah.
But what it meant was he was able to, like, as we always say in my family, listen to your body. He was able to follow the doctor's orders and actually, instead of forcing himself back into a situation where, it would be difficult on his heart if he had to go back to work.
Yeah.
But he was able to concentrate on that bit, but he was able to pay the bills, but from a 12-year-old's point of view. And as I have a nearly 13-year-old now, and when you're 12, the world revolves around you in your mind.
Yeah.
But from my perspective, it meant at a time when my dad was really, really unwell and I was scared, I didn't know what was happening. My sister and I she was only 2.5 years older than me. We never had to move out of our house. We didn't have to leave our neighborhood. So we had our neighbors next door so if they had to rush off to the hospital in the middle of the night, my grandmother lived next door.
Amazing.
We never had to switch schools. We still had our friends across the street. And so we were able to have normal consistency when everything else was out of whack. And I feel like that was such an important thing looking back, like a real gift for teenagers that are really scared. And it's your father and you don't know what to do, but at least we didn't have to then start a new life at the same time.
Yeah.
And so, it comes as no surprise that I have all of these protections in place. And I remember I wrote a story for the Sunday Times years ago, and it's like, am I properly paranoid or cautiously covered? And I had protection specialists go through because they're like, you've got things pretty locked down. But bad luck happened twice. Like my mom had to retire from MS. And, I just think it gives me peace of mind to know if I was unable to work. So you're more likely to be signed off due to long-term sickness than you are to die in your working life. I think it's like 5 times.
Yeah, a lot, exactly.
And, if with the unpaid work calculator, for instance, how much, so say if I'm doing 24,000 pounds worth of unpaid work in the home, and then I had a stroke and I had a partner, who would be doing that?
Yeah.
And the other person would either have to reduce their hours or to do it because, babies can't look after themselves or pay someone to do it.
Which would cost a lot.
Yeah. And then to have all of that stress at the same time. So I always think like it's about having your emergency savings, like save for today, save for tomorrow, and save for if it hits the fan.
Yeah.
And I think that's like where insurance really comes to. And it's the one thing that you buy that I hope I don't ever have to use.
So do you have cat insurance, dog insurance, fridge insurance, garden appliances insurance?
No, well, I have all of the life insurance, income protection, critical illness cover. I have it all set up, so it goes into a trust for my daughter, and I have a trustee. I have a digital executor set up, which I can come back to now.
Amazing.
Next. In a way, like you would think I'd been diagnosed with something, but
you were planning your life, like you've just been told by a doctor.
Yeah,
you've got like 2 months to live or something.
Yeah, and it's really funny because if you knew me well, you'd be like, my daughter said something about how every drawer is like a junk drawer in my house because I'm disorganized with so many other things. But this is just something that kind of came, and of course I have my home insurance and car insurance, travel insurance with pre-existing conditions declared. And because I was on the insurance beat at the Telegraph Money Desk, and you never hear people writing into the papers because they're happy with their insurer.
No.
It's like, oh, I forgot to claim this. And pet insurance, but I don't take things out like extended warranties. I don't take, or with your mobile phone, for instance, if you're over-insuring something for them, what the financial value is.
Yeah.
It's about...
And sometimes you have that, you're actually covered on your home insurance
Exactly,
as well.
Exactly. So I don't think insurance just for the sake of it is always the answer, but it's about what's for your circumstances.
Definitely.
But like for home insurance, for instance, again, because I think about stuff like this all the time, is... you're 6 times more likely to be flooded than you are to be burgled.
Right.
Yeah. And everyone's like, well, I don't live near the sea, but it's because of surface flooding. So I'm full of all the chat. This is what I think about it.
We should go out for a drink afterwards.
Yeah.
This sounds so, no, I would. I think we would actually have so much fun.
I know, and because of my job at Money Supermarket is I get to do the editorial strategy. And so I get to come up with the ideas, which is the best part of my job. And it's like, I've got a theory about limescale and climate change and it's causing pipes and insurance claims. And then I can go research it and then find our data to see if it supports it. It's just so much. I love it. But I was thinking about my daughter. She needed, her bedding, and you know how expensive bedding is.
I know, good bedding.
Yeah,
like actually doesn't go crispy after about a month.
Yeah, and so a friend of mine said she didn't have contents insurance, and I was like, "Are you crazy?" She's like, "Well, I don't really have any expensive stuff." I'm like, everything in total is expensive because contents insurance is if you turned your house upside down and shook it, everything that falls out is the contents. So if you were flooded and what happens is it gets wet, mold spreads. Or if you had a fire, but your whole house didn't burn down and smoke damage spreads, suddenly you're thinking, I have to replace all of the bedding. If you think of how expensive that is on every bed, every towel, all of
the carpeting, the blankets,
yeah,
the pillows,
it's not
the sofa,
just
everything.
Yeah, or if you had to set up a whole new kitchen. Yeah. It's not just the gadgets. It's all the things that you need in your home and how much that. And so the rule of thumb kind of was always around, you should aim for, if you're in a 3-bedroom house, for £50,000 worth of contents insurance. But that was
that's a long time ago. Yeah, that's got to be, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we used to always write when I was at the Telegraph. And so I calculated that alone to allow for inflation is more like 73,000 now.
Yeah.
And most people don't have that. They have like about 20, 30 grand.
Yeah.
So,
and there's certain items that obviously are more expensive. People will spend more money on, for example, a telly.
Yeah.
But you might not be insured for that kind of telly.
Yeah, or if it's over a certain price or anything like that. Yeah. So it's a high value item. But I just always think about, it's like if you had to replace the things in your home, that would be so expensive to do. And if you've lost your home due to flooding or, a fire, you've got enough going on.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to figure out how
you're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
You'll be down the charity shop. I see this all the time. I even saw something in the news today where it's a lady, Gabriella, I think her name is, and her husband unfortunately committed suicide. He was a big financier, investment, something in the city. We're talking people connected with the king and the queen. And she only got 660,000. No will in place, no protection in place. I see things quite often. What was the guy who was in Grey's Anatomy in America?
Oh yes, yep.
And really, really nice looking guy, and he
Yep.
got very poorly, and they had to do a Just Giving page. So we're not just talking everyday people from Barbara down the pub. We're talking lords and ladies who don't have wills, high flying, people. Unfortunately, in America, the problem with the actor in America is obviously their medical bills.
Medical bills, yeah.
But then you had a give page for basically the children and the wife, because they're left with nothing. And I see this all the time. My wife's been diagnosed with cancer, or my husband's passed away, or the house has been flooded, or all these scenarios and I sit there as someone that's worked in financial services for 26 years and go, why are these people not got the right insurances in place? Why have they not? And I don't mean it in a judgy way, like, oh my God, look at you. I don't mean it in a disrespectful way. But what's happened to... There's so much information out there. We can't say it's the bank's fault because they've closed. You've got social media influencers all over the place talking about finances and investing and Bitcoin and God knows what else. But you still see things like that happening to not just everyday people, people that are lords and ladies. And that's me going on a bit of a rant, really. But why don't people... Have you done... Is it some sort of research you've come across?
Well,
with this?
I think the thing is some people don't know. There's a knowledge gap. But also people don't like to think about bad things happening.
That's very true. Some people think that actually, if they think about it, it'll jinx it, and it'll actually happen.
Yeah, exactly.
It won't.
But nobody wants to think about dying.
No.
Nobody wants to think about who will. So one of the things I try and do is explain things in a way that I would explain to my girlfriends, because when I speak to them, if I'm boring them, it's obvious. Their eyes glaze over and they're like, here she goes again. But it's like, if you don't have a will, do you know who would get your children? And
a lot of people don't realise that, especially if they're not married.
Yeah, and you don't know if there's always someone you don't want to get them, So if you don't have a will, your kids, it'll be decided on their behalf, where they go. And so it is awful to think about. But once you do it, it's done. And then I do think there's an importance of revisiting these things. Anything to do with money is not one and done. So I took out all my protection policies when I bought a house back in the day. I think it was like 27 or something. And then again, when we got married, changed things up a bit. When I had a child, then I had dependents, and then separated, changed my beneficiaries, and then divorced because I'm one income. And so that's like 5 times. I joke that I'm like Life Searches, because that's where I get that's my broker. And that I'm like their most frequent customer, because like, oh, she's back again. But the great thing is that they already have all of my details.
Yeah, it's easier.
So I don't, and it's just like, okay, well, my needs have changed now because I'm the breadwinner of the only income. Yeah. So I need to have extra this or that. And so it's not a fun thing to talk about, or to think about. But once you do it, you don't have to do it again for a while. Yeah. But it's important that people know where this stuff is as well.
Yeah, where everything's kept.
Yeah. A
lot of my clients say once they've worked with me and I've done like a bit of a overhaul on everything, like they might have loads and loads of pensions and it just feels like all over the place, or they just don't know where their spending is, and they don't know why they haven't got any money left at the end of the month or the end of the year. And they feel like their words are, they feel like they've put their big pants on and become a bit of an adult.
Yeah.
And then afterwards they feel that much more empowered and actually much more organised and a lot clearer and happier. That all those things that are going over and over and over and over in their head is actually, it's okay.
And I think the way I look at it is, if I was driving into Cornwall and just following the signs on the road, I might get there, but it would be unpleasant, a stressful journey. I'd be on edge the whole time because I'd be like, oh, I don't, and I wouldn't necessarily get there fast or the most direct route. But if I have the sat nav on, I feel I don't have to worry about it because or I have a planned route. And so just like you wouldn't go on a road trip without making a plan how to get there, I think with your money in your life, it's kind of the same thing. Yeah. And one thing that I often recommend to people or my girlfriends, I keep saying girlfriends, but it's because...
You sound like you've got loads of friends.
Oh, God, I've got lots. Is that, okay, well, if you don't want to do it, why don't you body double with someone? So I have ADHD. I was diagnosed when I was 23. So half of my life I've known I had it. I always joke I'm an ADHD elder because I've had it for so long. And one behavior modification thing that you can do, like a hack, is to body double with people. So you work on something. It's kind of like a study buddy, if you're, but you become more accountable by if you're doing it with someone.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, why don't a friend of mine, she was saying her credit report. And she's like, oh, I haven't looked because I put my head in the sand. And I'm like, that's the fear of finding out. I'm like, well, why don't we do it together? I have to do, get new car insurance. So why don't we just both do it either on the phone or on a call, and then you'll do it.
Yeah.
And so we body double. And so there's a new kind of trend out on social media now where people are doing admin nights.
Okay.
And so you get together with friends and you're like, let's just get through our list of stuff that we keep putting off and have like appetizers and wine. And it's
Love that. Like the date night scenario.
Yeah, but you do it with your girlfriends or your mates or whoever, and you just get it done. And so it does, I feel like that's something that you could do. If you don't want to think about it, that's fine, but you probably should do. But if you get somebody else to do it with you, I feel like
you've got someone else to bounce off of.
Yeah.
And I think if you have got neurodiverse things going on, you overthink things a lot more, you procrastinate a lot more. And I find that clients put things off for I might speak to someone and they actually don't do anything for maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years. And because they're just procrastinating the whole process and they're overthinking it all so much. But some of those are superpowers, like you've described, really going hyper-focused into certain subjects. That's your ADHD being your superpower, being able to be so organised and actually get all of these things done because it's an area that you enjoy. If it's something you enjoy, you're more likely to focus on it. And obviously some people, not everyone likes finance like we like financial stuff. But is there any other, from an ADHD perspective and relating to money, is there any other tips that you would give?
Yeah, definitely, because I always say I wasn't always good with money. Like in my 20s, I remember when I moved over to England, because I wasn't really taught about money as I was growing up. I didn't even know what an overdraft was. I'm like, but money just kept coming out. And, so I learned the hard way. I had a fun time, but it was my 20s. And then when I was working on, I got a job on the money desk at the Telegraph. I would have taken a job in any department because it was my first job. I didn't know anybody. It was just like luck. I'm like, I'd be golf correspondent if you want me to be. I'll take any job. So then I started to learn as things go. But what I've learned that with ADHD is your brain's not broken, but it is wired to be to procrastinate, to struggle with task initiation, like executive functions that with ADHD don't really go well with money management. But your brain's not broken, it just needs a different manual. So I try and do like little kind of cheats for myself, like how can I make it easier? So one thing, I hate doing my taxes. And I know why I hate it, because I never have what I need for my accountant, because it's all over the place and it feels like I'm at school again and I don't have my homework done. And I know that about myself, but I think if you just do 15 minutes, so I have this thing called the 15-minute rule, just do it, Kara. I mean, your accountant's working for you. I don't know why I'm so afraid of him, but it's because I never have the paperwork he needs. And so I said, just do 15 minutes. So that's for task initiation. So to get you to do something, you think if you're pushing a ball down a hill. So you don't have to give it a real shove to get it going. But once it starts rolling down the hill, it picks up momentum and it just keeps going. And I always find if I can, anyone can do 15 minutes, just do 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, you'll be on a roll and you'll probably finish it. And also, it will take you less time to do it than you've been putting it off and dreading it and having it hanging over your head. Yeah. So the 15-minute rule it can be for anything, folding laundry, going through the odd sock box, anything that you put off, just do 15 minutes. And even if you only do that short amount, is 15 minutes more than you had done yesterday. Yeah. So whether that's looking at your budget, whether it's looking at how much food you're wasting in the house, that kind of thing. Body doubling is a big one. You can do it on the phone. You can do it in person. You can have little get-togethers with friends to do it. And I find that really works. And I would say the other thing is to try and make life a bit easier for yourself in that, for instance, with saving, if you wait till you save put savings away at the end of the month, you'll never have any savings. because that's just the way it works. So automate things. Make sure everything's set up on direct debits. Have a standing order into your savings that go out on payday. So when you wake up, the money's already been moved over. I have a Starling account as well, and I have roundups opted in. So every time I spend money, it rounds it up to the pound, and then money goes into a little pot, which I call like our travel fund. But I can't access that with the card. I'd have to transfer it back. But then once it's set up, you're done. And it's really, I have money in an ISA, but it's too hard to get to. I mean, I can get it, but it's not easy enough to get into to make it, because you think you need something.
For spontaneous spending.
Yeah. So I have spontaneous spending savings, and then I have ISA, which is I can get it if I need it.
Right.
But it's not that, it would take.
But you put it out of the way so you don't spend
Precisely.
it.
So out of sight, out of mind, as that kind of thing. And I always joke that I have, if I can't see it, I forget I have it, which my daughter makes the most of it. She's always nicking my beauty products. And so I think with anything like your pensions or your savings, if you can't see it, your savings, you won't spend it. But I know where it is.
Yeah.
And I think where you have like something attached to your current account, then that's kind of
easy
different.
To get to.
Yeah, it's a different type of pot. So automating your savings, automating anything makes it easier, so you don't have to think about it, and then it's gone. All my bills are on direct debit. And
have you heard of ADHD tax?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Because it's the amount. Sometimes I allow myself to have an idiot tax. That's what I tell myself.
That's not a really nice term to call yourself an idiot.
No, but I heard a comedian.
Not.
Well, thank you. But I heard a comedian once. I would listen to a podcast. It was Parenting Hell, and Josh Widdicombe. He said that he had. And I was like, I'm going to give myself that, and it's a bit of a buffer of a grace amount of money. So, say if it's £100 or £500, £1,000, whatever is an acceptable amount for you, where you think, I forgot to pay my parking ticket, now it's doubled. And then you're like, oh, so you pay it. But then you can, particularly if you have ADHD, you might attach shame to that kind of feeling of forgetting something because you've probably been scolded for it your whole life.
Yeah.
Being late. There's all these things that not having the paperwork I need for my accountant, that kind of thing. And so I'm like, I know I'm going to do it. I'm old enough now I try not to feel bad about things that I can't control. So I'm going to give myself grace. So whether it's £1,000 or £500 a year, and I'm just like, we'll chalk that up to the idiot tax because I forgot to pay the bill. It's double, but these things happen. And then I can move on from it. And it doesn't feel good spending that tax.
No.
But I feel like it can be really upsetting and like feel really bad if you forget. But it's an honest mistake. Like I always say to my daughter, accidents happen. So as long as you've tried, you wouldn't have done it on purpose. So I think you can give yourself a little bit of a buffer before, and I feel like that makes a massive difference.
I think, I think leading into sort of menopause now and perimenopause, and then you add in the ADHD. That's quite powerful.
Yeah, and there's no research into how perimenopause or menopause affects ADHD. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. I was watching a podcast the other day, and I forget his name. He does interviews lots and lots of people with ADHD.
Oh, it's ADHD Chatter.
Yeah, it's great. Did you see the one where he actually interviewed? I don't know what his name was, but he was talking about if you had a day in the shoes of a menopausal woman with ADHD, most men wouldn't be able to survive.
Yeah.
And like when we started with the show, I kept slipping up with certain words. So I'm dyslexic, and I definitely I'm not diagnosed, but I have ADHD tendencies, and I'm constantly having to work really, really hard so that. I wouldn't call it masking, but it's almost like I beat myself up if I haven't got, and that's down to the dyslexia where I was sort of shamed quite a lot as a child.
It is the internal.
You then sort of like want to look not polished to the point of I'm not that extent. As you can tell, I'm pretty relaxed, but to the extent of my own personal internal persona of how I should deliver. And if I'm speaking to somebody else, I'm probably speaking really normally, but in my head, I'm speaking really slowly, and I sound in my head that I'm talking like that, because actually my brain can work really, really quick and I can actually speak really, really quickly.
Yeah, I'm the same.
So all of that is going on in my head all at once. And then I say that, so I slip up like just then, and I'll say the wrong thing because my brain is like 10 steps ahead.
I'm the same though. And do you know, I did a lot of therapy over the years. And one thing that my therapist said to me, you know, when you feel that feeling, I say it's like in here, and it's like shame or something. She said, ask yourself how old that makes you feel. And so this is how I figured out with my accountant that the problem is I never had what I needed at school. And I used to get detentions and in trouble. And, you know, if you just paid more attention, Kara, if you did this, you did that. And it's like, how old does that make you feel? So if you get caught up on words, is it that you felt that way at school, or you hated reading aloud because then, you know, people would snicker? And it's asking yourself, like identifying where that is. And then once you kind of identify it, you're like, well, would I speak to that age of me?
Yeah.
And, you know, what would I say now? And then my view now is I'm like, this is how I am. Yeah. I don't feel bad because I have to wear contact lenses because I can't see. Yeah. So I'm not going to apologize for the fact that I can't follow board game instructions, or I can't, there's lots of things I can't do. But also I did a talk at Money Supermarket last year about how, well, ADHD is my superpower. It can be difficult, so for neurodiverse colleagues, but I often think because I can do so many things that people think are hard easily, like going on live telly, or, you know.
I know, people say, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I can't find anything on SharePoint. I struggle with PowerPoint. And when my daughter she has dyslexia, and when she was being assessed, I was like, oh my God.
There's a lot of lapovers.
Yeah, well, I'm having an assessment in April.
Great.
Because
it's really weird, by the way. It's a really strange test.
Yeah, well, I went through it with my daughter, and I was like,
it's really strange, isn't it?
And I said, well, you know what? No matter how much I try, or you know, how much Ritalin or any medication I've taken, I just can't do certain things, and she said, well, those are executive functions of dyslexia, and I was like, oh my.
Yeah.
Like you know, and it to me, it felt really quite validating.
But you're a writer.
Yes, I know, but I can read and I can write. I can't spell, but I don't
Who needs to these days?
Precisely. But it's like sequential tasks almost. Like if you told me directions, how to get somewhere, I would get muddled up.
Well, that's why we had the whole conversation around your name.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you said how you pronounce your name, my head was just kept saying over again, you don't say it like this, you don't say it like this.
Well, and the minute I said it, I thought that's how I would do it, because I get words mixed up sometimes. Like I'll say single instead of signal, and I can never spell tariff. Like nobody cares about these kind of things, but we worry about it. And I think where it's like accepting when you have ADHD, you can do hard things easily, but sometimes easy things are hard. Yeah. But it's like being okay with it. And one thing that I have a little framed print in my office, and it says, the way we talk to our children become their inner voice. And so I wanted my daughter to learn that, you know, it's okay to make mistakes. Accidents happen. Everything is figure outable. Yeah. We can figure it out. And so she didn't develop that bit of shame that
internal voice.
Yeah. And so that's why I got her assessed for ADHD as well when she was in year 5. And because I didn't want people to tell her to just try harder. Because nobody tells you to just try and see harder if you don't have your glasses on.
No.
And I think like I felt like such a good decision.
I totally agree. I wish I'd have had someone talking to me in that context when I was younger.
Yeah.
Do you think it's got worse with the menopause?
Well,
because you're an old school ADHD, or you're not like a new one.
So I think it's because it's interesting, because I also, when I did IVF, you're on all those hormones.
Yeah.
And they put you into down regulation before you start taking the injections to get the follicles. And that was like almost like menopause overnight. And I remember like waking up just sweating, and you could almost see the outline of my body on the sheets, like at a crime scene.
Yeah.
And I was like, good Lord. But so I think the thing with perimenopause is that it creeps up on you. And first you just think, well, I'm really busy and I'm really tired, or I have so much going on. But then for me, so I take HRT because I think,
Me too.
And so a lot of people that's not right for everybody. But I think if I don't have enough estrogen I always
I
joke
can't
store
function.
bought is just fine. So I'll slap it on. But it creeps up on you. And then suddenly you think, I remember once I couldn't remember the word mortgage and I was on the radio. And then I thought, okay.
Don't you hate that feeling?
Yeah.
It's so
and,
bad.
You can't be a money expert and forget the word mortgage.
Or I hear a word and I think, mortgage? That's a funny word. That sounds really weird. Is it mortgage?
Yeah.
No, is that right?
And then you start to overthink it. So I thought, well, you know what? Enough's enough. Why don't you go and try the HRT? And it's really, really helped.
Great.
But I don't think it necessarily does a huge amount for brain fog. But I think there's a lot of, I think because I've spent so many years with ADHD or knowing it. I mean, you've always have it. You're born with it. But like, it's just a part of me. And I really am open about it and I don't know if it was COVID or getting divorced but I just I'm not embarrassed by stuff anymore. And I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I really would like to do it. It's not that I don't want to, but I really struggle. And my best girlfriends in England, they always tell me we're leaving like a half an hour earlier than we are, which I only
You're
realized.
one of them.
Yeah. And I just got a new car and I didn't have to put in the postcode. I could just type something. And my friend who was in the car was like, oh, I've been checking your postcodes every road trip we ever go on because you mix up the letters. And she's like, so I don't have to do that anymore. And I was like, you what? So it's just about kind of surrounding yourself with people that like you for
who you are. Yeah.
And
I think that's why I wasn't liked at school. I had 2 or 3 different groups. I used to move around with different groups. And I sometimes do struggle with like group girl friendship groups.
The
I
dynamic.
really sort of like, I just get really confused in them. I'm okay with like 2 or 3, but more than that, it gets a bit much. And there was this one group of friends who I was really close to, but both their best friends didn't like me. And now, I said, what? I said to them, why? Why don't you like me? I just don't like you.
That's not a reason.
That's not a reason. But now I think, my daughter can be quite a lot. She's got a lot of energy and I've just woken up. Or, actually it's the end of the day and you've sat in pyjamas most of the day, not doing very much. And you've got all the energy of a bright little button. She's 18 next month, by the way. And she'll start skipping and she'll be shouting and getting in my face.
They always want to talk to you at bedtime.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
yes.
That's when all the everything. And I'm like, why are we discussing this? Going to bed.
Yeah, and I hear myself, and I have said it to her because I'm just like, you are a lot. You are a lot. Like, can you just dial
People
it down
say that
a
about
little
me
bit?
a lot. I'm a lot. Yeah, my social battery is always on high.
If you're somebody that is not sure what to do with their finances, maybe you're working and you're not sure what to do with the bonuses you've got at work, or maybe you started a business and you've got profits and you're not sure what you should be doing to enable you to A, pay yourself more, or B, potentially retire earlier. Maybe you're somebody that's thinking about, do I overpay on the mortgage? You've received some inheritance. You've got lots of questions around your finances and what to do next. Then check out Evolution Financial Planning, who are regulated independent financial advisors and financial planners that can help you make some of those big decisions in life.
And my best friends that I grew up with, who I'm still friends with today, we've been friends for over 35 years, and they say that I'm a golden retriever and they're like cats.
Yeah.
So we're kind of the opposite, where my battery is like never ending until it's
Done.
zapped.
Then you're done.
Yeah. But, it's just about accepting yourself for who you are. But also I think in a situation like that, where you think back to like, okay, well, maybe you struggled in those groups, but that could have been because they just weren't nice girls. It's not that it's maybe a fundamental character flaw of yours.
No.
It could be that you just didn't have a good year group of friends in that year at your school.
Genuine people.
Yeah. And so I feel like it's a lot of, we tend to think, well, what did I do wrong? But you maybe did nothing. You just happened to be in the wrong year at that school.
Yeah.
So I think there's a real strength in making peace with kind of yourself. I say that, but I am really hard on myself. It's a work in progress. And, there's always something that you think I could have done that or could have done this. But I do think the HRT, to me, kind of it's almost like, say if the TV was on full blast and we were trying to have this conversation, I would find it very agitating.
Yeah.
And so it's like the HRT just turns down the volume.
Yeah.
And I went on it because I was worried about forgetting my words on the radio. And I was telling a friend of mine about what a game changer it is. And my daughter just like walked by with her Stanley and she's like, and let me tell you, Kim, it's been great for her moods, game changer. And I was like, what? My moods were fine. Apparently not. So,
Yeah, I get that from my husband. He's like, "Are you having one of those days? I am in the right.
Yeah.
I'm fuming about the postman.
Yeah.
Or something completely random.
Yeah.
He's like, okay. Do you want a cup of tea?
Yeah.
A cup of tea.
Yeah. And I think but there's also women with menopause, that are going through menopause, spend a lot more money on things. They are struggling to get to work. Like there's a
little of them leaving workplace.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
it's
quite literally, I without HRT, I wouldn't have been able to carry on running my business. I wasn't able to function. I wasn't able to get out of bed. I don't even think I was able to function if I was like, I say just stay at home mum. That's a really bad thing. I used to call myself that after I got made redundant. And I just think that's just such a bad thing I've got in my head. But it wasn't like I was doing all the things at the home and running a business at the same time. I wasn't even able to remember, what day it was for PE for my son. So he went in with the right stuff. And we all do that time to time, but I'm talking everything throughout the day. I forgot we didn't have dog food. I forgot everything. And without it, if I was employed, I would have had to have leave.
Yeah. And well, I think I saw some statistics that shows like the largest workforce is women in perimenopause and menopause, like that age group. And it's a real, everybody's affected differently. And it's, anything that makes going to work more difficult. It's because work is work, and it's then you start to think like, gosh, am I getting early onset dementia? You start to worry, and then there's so many different things that how it can affect you, whether it's your sleep or it's digestion. I think there's 44 different symptoms that you can have.
I think I had all of them.
Yeah.
Literally, literally every single one. The time I knew it got really bad is when I drove off with something on my roof. I think it was a pizza box. I was driving down the road with a pizza box.
Not even menopause. That's the type of person that I am. After I had a baby, I drove to I was supposed to go to the hospital and ended up at B&Q. It's, these things just kind of happen. But I think, if HRT makes you feel better, then take it. It is worth. People don't realize as well that you might need to declare it on your travel insurance. A lot of women
I didn't know that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't really think about that.
No.
Also with the weight loss jabs, Ozempic.
Yeah.
If you're getting those privately, that's a medication. You have to declare those as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm not on them.
No, but
as you can tell.
But you read about the people there's so many people on them, but you wouldn't think of it as medicine.
No.
Or medical treatment. But so you have to declare it on your travel insurance just to make sure that you're covered.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I thought was really funny, so we ended up at Money Supermarket doing a story about it. Because again, often many of our stories are things, we call them my musings.
Okay.
And
you're amused by that. So
or just things that I just am thinking about, or, with the unpaid work calculator, or the hybrid finances that we did, or we did something about how, 20% of people who are divorced never remove their ex-partner from their credit report.
Yeah.
Because that remains there until you die, your
crazy.
financial connection. And, if you've got divorced.
Aliases.
Yeah. And so it will be, it's absolutely something that you can do, and it just takes a minute. But so any kind of these kind of stories that we can make into research. Well, I have 2 dogs. I think you saw them on a chat.
I did. They're very cute.
Yeah,
two little Westies.
Yeah, 2 little West Highland Terriers.
Very cute.
And what I didn't realize is that when I was putting on my HRT on my hands and then going to bed, because they say be careful if you have a partner, but I don't have a partner. And I was patting my dog at the night.
Yeah.
And it was transferring onto.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so he had anxiety.
Yeah,
and he started to develop female traits.
Okay. Boobies, you mean?
Yeah.
Right.
And I was like, oh no. And so then we found out vets are seeing this happen more and more.
That's interesting.
And, it can lead to vet bills. And so we did a story about how if you're worried, how you can use your pet insurance to have you free access probably to a vet, which you may not know about. And you can do a video consult for free. And so we put it into a story like that.
I love the way your brain works.
Oh, well, thank you.
It's so cool how you're pick up. Like, I think if you came and listened to some of my calls, you'd probably get so many ideas, things that I've probably been doing forever. And I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
It's been doing it for so long.
Yeah. Well, I just like to do see things that I think are, interesting, but then how can it become news you can use? So it's like, okay, that was my experience, but I'm not the only one like that.
No.
So how can we find some data to back it up? And
I think that's what's important, because a lot of people have opinions. You have an opinion, I have one. Your opinion is not necessarily right or wrong, and nor is mine. That's how I see it. It's an opinion, and then you have fact.
Yeah.
And maybe what we, between us, we'll get somewhere, kind of thing.
Yeah.
We have spoken about so much today, and we've sort of talked about 4 rules of life for women, and we've talked about managing joint finances around divorce or just general relationships. We've talked about ADHD and some tips around how to manage that. We've talked about protection and life events, things that happen, whether it's family members or partners, not just protection in terms of insurances, but also things that you can put in place to protect yourself. The last area just to sort of open up about is your daughter. You've already spoke about what your dad told you, and that's what you're trying to pass on to her. For me, I was brought up Catholic, and my dad always said to me, I don't care what you do, Rebecca, just don't get married. Don't have children out of wedlock. It was a Catholic thing. And I say to my daughter, I don't mind if you marry or not, as long as you have, when you have children, you have enough backup that if you want to walk away, you can. So don't go into it. Like she'd say to me a few years ago, I need to become a wag, or I need to marry well, or I need to find a rich husband, or things like that. And that's when I just started changing this narrative in her head. And she hates it because I'm always banging on about it. She obviously, I'm boring, mum, whatever.
Well, so am I. It's a mum thing, apparently.
But, I know it goes in at some extent. She's starting her own business soon, so something's going in.
Excellent.
But you've also not only opened up a junior ISA for your daughter, you've also started a pension for her.
I have, yeah.
So tell me about that.
So, again, I was at work, and I was doing the story about sandwich generation and how much unpaid care they provide, and about life insurance. And then I thought, gosh, I'm single. Yeah. I have one child. I have no family in this country. Like every other family member is in Canada, except for me and my daughter. And so if she becomes older and I'm, she'll have to do it. She'll have to look after me, or, put me in a home at least. And I just thought, gosh, that's a lot of pressure on an only child. And so I thought, I'm going to set up a pension. I'm just going to put like £50 in for now. The idea is...
She's young.
Yeah, she's young. She's only 12. So pay him by direct debit. And even if I do it for a year, I said, or 6 months, or I do it until she's 18 or 25, whatever. But the time in the market in her pension, so it's with Hargreaves Lansdowne, and...
No advice is given on this podcast.
No, absolutely no advice. But so you can set up a junior pension. So you can do a SIP, or you can do they pick the
self-invested pension plan.
Yeah. And so I set it up, and now it just kind of ticks over. And they did a story in The Sun about it a couple of weeks ago in the money section. Because I posted something about it, about thinking about how I'm saving for her junior ISA for now, or for like when she's 18, or, well, I always say she can have it when she can find it. But so
a lot of clients take out they don't do their ISAs directly with their bank. They do them through their financial advisor, because then the children, when they inherit it, have to speak to the financial advisor first.
Oh, yes, there you go.
Yeah,
so,
like a gatekeeper.
Yeah, so then I have it kind of ring-fenced, and then I thought, well, I'll just put the money in. So they crunched the numbers with Hargreaves Lansdowne, to see if you put £50 a month in at 8%, imagine if it was, because you can take more risk if a longer term.
You've got to take the volatility,
Yeah, and they said that if I did it every month, £50 a month until the age of 25, it could grow into, I think it was £354,000.
Wow. At 25 or 57?
At 57.
Yeah.
So if I pay into it and then stop and then just
let
leave it,
yeah,
then it could...
That's pretty good going.
In theory. But I mean, I do appreciate that when I say, oh, it's only £50 or it's only this or it's only that. It's for people, any money, any savings is better than no savings. And I've not always saved loads. I always feel skint. Like it doesn't matter how much money you make. But I say, even if you put away £10, whatever amount is better than nothing.
Start the habit.
Yeah, but also at the same time, don't feel bad if you can't do something like that right now, because I've told myself that I've set this up, but who knows what in a year's time if I'll still be able to do it.
Yeah.
But so again, I never want
you're
people
passing
to feel...
on the baton, aren't you? You're sort of saying, this is something you should have and something you should take seriously, rather than something that she's going to get. Auto enrollment's changed; it's now moving to 18, but before it was 21. So a lot of people at 21 was, well, I've got this thing I've got to opt into. It means they're going to take my money. Whereas if you can say, no, I've set this pension up for you. This is what it is. This is how it works. This is what it's going to do for you. And you will get one through work as well. Then it's an extra layer of education that she wouldn't have had otherwise.
I feel like it just kind of gets her off on the right foot. And, anything, and people say, well, what will that money be worth in 50, 60 years time, with inflation? I'm like, well, anything's better than nothing. And whether it just might take the pressure off, because women do have there is a pension gap.
I talk about this all the time on the show.
And because if you make less money because of the gender pay gap, you're going to contribute less to your pension, as your employer will, because of smaller salary, if you take career breaks, etc. There's all the evidence.
Get divorced, or you're of a minority. You're highly likely to go into retirement in poverty.
Yes, exactly. And so the thing is, I think, well, at least this might soften the blow of that. And so that's...
I love that you're thinking that it's so she can also look after herself to look after you.
Yeah. Well, I just thought, gosh, that maybe that'll kind of soften the blow of having to look after me. But it just got me thinking about how difficult it is for women in that situation, and how, and also probably the sandwich carers are going through menopause at the same time. And it's just...
How are we meant to navigate all of this, right? But I think it gives us even more reason that you do need to look after your finances. And I saw something the other day, in your 20s, you shouldn't just be relaxing. In your 20s, you should be, I hate the word hustle, but you should be, when you haven't got the kids, when you haven't gonna have the perimenopause, when your parents are able to look after themselves. That's why my daughter wants to start a business. I'm like, okay, let's make the mistakes now. Let's get that success and get that sort of drive and that ethic working for you now, so that, in 10, 20 years time, hopefully you're that much further ahead. Yeah,
and that's the thing because I was never taught about money as a child. You just weren't in the 80s and 90s. It was, a very different time. And so... It's
not talked about in the UK especially.
No. And they did, I think it was the Money and Pension Service did research into the age that a child will be, as like what kind of spending habits they'll have as an adult, are set by the age of 7.
Wow.
I know. It's like pressure. So I very much was always, again, the way you talk to your children becomes their inner voice. That's what I always say. And so I talked to Audrey about, that's my daughter, sorry. I never say, we can't afford it, because technically I probably can. I just don't want to spend my money that way.
I just say to mine, I'm choosing not to do that today.
Yeah, that's what I say. I don't want to spend, or that's not how I want to spend my money.
Yeah.
Or, we'll talk about, she wants something. I'm like, well, would you rather have a really fancy car or go on holidays? We talk about money. But when she was little, I had these glass jars, and there was the spending, saving, and sharing jars.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
And so then she'd get money from the tooth fairy or whatever, and she could put a little bit in each one.
Yeah.
And it really, really works. So then now she has like a Starling account where she has her own contactless.
Yeah.
And then when we're talking about whether maybe when she's 13, because she can get her own bank account, because she wants to be able to use Apple Pay. This is her big desire in life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that I'm like, well, maybe we'll move your pocket money to monthly so you can start to get used to a monthly budget.
Yeah.
Because I went from in Canada, you were paid every 2 weeks, and I moved to England, and I was like,
Shock.
yeah, people on the pension get it once a month. So I remember thinking I didn't know how to make my money last that long. And so just kind of trying to teach her about how to use money. But she's very good with it. And she's very, but
I'm
she
sure
does.
she is. She's got your influence.
Yeah, but she does have money dysmorphia, in my opinion.
I think they all do at that age, and they continue to, especially with Instagram. And
Yeah, and all of the, she has nicer makeup than I do.
what's the word? There's
Aesthetic.
A word. Thank you.
Yeah, everything is aesthetic.
Yeah.
And so it's a case of I'm just like trying to explain to her, I'm like, well, you can buy that at Sephora, but it will mean that that's so much of your pocket money, and trying to, I don't have 30-pound mascara. Like, I'm wearing mascara from Primark, actually.
Yeah.
Like, so.
And boots.
Yeah. And, so it's about, I'm just like, don't think that this is what is normal or expected, because if you're paying for it yourself, it does.
It doesn't, at that age, I found it, my daughter Emily, they just want it. And now, like, the conversation's moved on. She's like, so how much money am I getting for my birthday? Because I think I might be going away on holiday in June. And I was thinking I could then use my holiday money, my birthday money for my holiday. And then also you said if I stay at home in October and you go away, you said that I'd have to look after the dog. So as I'm not coming, that you would give me some money so I could go towards the holiday.
Just like
so
squirreling it away.
Yeah. And so then she's like, so if I could have that money then for the October, but I could go away in June.
Yeah.
Like, she's a master.
Yeah.
Like,
but then I'm like, that's technically credit. So you would be wanting to work off the money, basically, that I give you for June.
Yeah, I was like, okay, let me just get this right. So this is, I think, what you call girl math.
Yeah. And I said to my daughter, and I'm like, my dad always said, if you can't pay for it now, you won't want to pay for it later.
Yeah.
And it's like, credit is, appropriate for certain people in certain circumstances or whatever. But I think the last thing a child wants to do is be working for their holiday they took like 6 months.
Could you imagine?
Imagine? And can you imagine how hard you'd have to like remind her to do it?
Yeah.
But it's good that she's thinking about where the money's coming in and how she's going to pay for it.
Yeah, she's really good at budgeting. And we've got sort of certain rules with her that she'll be charged rent at 21. From next year, she needs to pay for her own horse because I pay for her horse at the moment. And she needs to move out by the time she's 24.
Yeah.
And yeah, we will charge her a small rent from 21. And we're being, I think, quite lenient, but we've been very upfront about what we're doing and when we're doing
certainly
it.
To make it clear. I mean, my daughter wants has Spotify, even though we have so many other streaming, like, honestly.
It's all about Spotify.
Yeah. So she's like, I'll pay for it. I'm like, oh, okay. So it comes out of her pocket money once a week. It's like £3 a week towards her Spotify. And she was and she's like, gosh, all these bills. And I'm like, well, we have Amazon Music as part of our, but she wanted Spotify. And I'm like, okay, but she pays it, the £3, but she's just bills.
I know, but it's great for their mindset. Now, I know that I could have you back on the show probably every week. And I think we would have an amazing, every conversation is going to be fantastic. We have only really skimmed along the top in terms of so many subjects today, but there's so many things we haven't spoken about. So if people want to connect with you to find out more about your tips and your budgeting sort of help on savings, like I know you talk a lot about food waste, for example.
Yeah, it's my bugbear.
So how can people connect with you?
So you can follow me on social media, just by searching my name. That's a great thing about a name like mine, nobody else has it. I work at Money Supermarket, so lots of any kind of research that I'm doing is all in it's /news, Money Supermarket, but also we've got so many tools there as well. And there's TikTok and all of that. So you could follow Money Supermarket, and I'm always popping up on like an e-scooter because you can't get insurance, but so.
Do they make you go on an e-scooter?
Well, that's the next thing. I'm like, I can't go. It has to be private land because they're illegal. And it can put your insurance up by thousands of pounds.
But they love you.
Yeah, exactly.
But the TikTok marketing girl
I'm just like, so we're doing like different things, whether it's driving hacks or how to save money on petrol.
Well, at the moment, as we're recording this, I think we're on date, is it 19 or 20 of, I don't like to call it a war, if I'm honest. It is a war, but and it is obviously affecting us in only really a very small way. I think war just makes me feel, it makes it sound like when they say World War III, it just makes me feel very, very scary.
Yes, of course.
But yeah, at the moment, obviously because of that, petrol prices are going up.
Yep, it's affecting inflation. It's affecting what you're paying for petrol. And, so we do things, that's the kind of thing that will identify me, like, gosh, that's going up. So we've just started a petrol price calculator that we're going to be having coming out. And you can see how much cheaper it is in different areas and how much you can save.
Yeah.
But even just, with the hacks, so I've done driving hacks and how to change the way you're driving.
My husband might want me to read that one.
And you can drive, if imagine you're holding a cup of coffee without the lid. And if you don't want to slosh it around and spill it, so if you're braking and accelerating, that burns more fuel.
I had to hold on to like the handle and the seatbelt as my daughter drove. I had a flat this morning.
Yeah.
And so she drove me to the train station and I was holding on for dear life.
Yes. Well, this is it. The more aggressively you drive, though, the more gas you use.
I see.
So it's a case of, we do stuff like that as well. So all of those tips are on
Amazing.
social media.
And where do they find your guide that you had and your book?
So my book is available at any bookshop, online, any book dealers as well. So it's called The Bargain Hunter, and with my name, and you can find all the different money saving hacks in there.
Well, Kara, it's been lovely talking to you today.
Thank you for having me.
And I'd hope you'll come back.
Yes, I'd love to. I've had a great time. Thank you so much.
Well, I think, on a Friday when I haven't got a rush off, we have to book it on a Friday where, actually maybe we could go for a drink afterwards.
Yeah, that sounds great.
And we can talk about, insurance and protection.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks so much for having me.
I've loved it. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Hope you've enjoyed today's show. If you'd please subscribe to the show so that you can get more updates of future shows that are up and coming. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for joining us today at Accelerating Your Wealth with your host, myself, Rebecca Robertson. I hope you enjoyed the show. Do subscribe and let us know in the comments any of your thoughts.